Greetings, gentle listeners, and welcome to Lesbian Talk. Episode is the smallest number with exactly 10 divisors. 48 for you non-math geeks. Ha ha ha.
You're not a math geek either, you liar.
I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Oh, that's what you were looking at before we started.
Yeah, I'm going to also now look up pictures of, fifth dimensional cubes.
Why?
Because they're cool.
Because you like to make typing noises in the background that I can't edit out.
I love higher than third dimensional geometry. I have no idea about regular geometry, even two-dimensional geometry. I'm shit at it, but I'm like, wow, this is mad. I like this.
What if it was fifth dimensional geography?
So that would be fascinating. I think it would be like
Flatland.
No, that would be two-dimensional.
Yeah, but they had visitors. Remember, because the one guy was a visitor from the third dimension, so that conceivable they could have visitors from other dimensions as well.
This is true. Have you seen the movie Cube?
I don't think so.
Okay, first one's all basic, and it's about horror guys, people trapped in a cube, they get killed. Second one is set inside a hypercube, or a fourth-dimensional cube. And they have one section where, like, a fifth-dimensional monster actually goes through the room that they're inside, and you can see a little bit, then more, and until it's filling the entire room, killing people, and they get smaller. The idea is that they're sort of going through it, but they can only experience a part of this thing at the same time, at the one time. Very Flatland.
I remember once a coworker of mine, she said, my daughter really wants to go see the new Spy Kids 4D movie, but what kind of glasses will I need for 4D? And I'm like, I think that was just kind of like a marketing, like an advertising thing, because, and I explained to her, like, fourth dimension and stuff like that. She's like, well, so how would we see something in 4 dimensions? And I was like, well, it's real life.
Well,
so if you, went to a play, you'd be seeing it in 4 dimensions.
When I was in London last, they had an advertisement for a 4D show at Madame Tussauds, with the Marvel superheroes battling things at the Buckingham Palace. But my whole line of thinking was 4D. If that fourth dimension is time, this would mean we're seeing all of the waxworks at every moment in their history all at once.
Well, no, if you're not it doesn't say that you have to perceive the fourth dimension all at once.
Well, if you're looking at it,
you wouldn't be able to.
Oh yeah, we're third dimensional beings.
Your mind couldn't comprehend it. So you are technically seeing something in 4D. You can just only perceive a part of it. Aha.
You are entirely correct. But then I discovered much later on that
it was a sex show.
No. Yes, it's Madame Tussauds. It's a sex show featuring Spider-Man.
Yes.
Then I discovered that 4D is just a colloquial term for the sort of 3D show that you have, which fires water at you or gas or whatever. Remember the thing we went to in the museum?
The interactive things, yeah.
Yeah, that was that was fourth dimensional.
Yeah, I went to ones at Disney like that when I was on the band trip.
Yeah, the bug one and all at Disney's Wild Kingdom. What do we call it? What is our first subject?
Well, our first order of business would be the word from last week, because we've kind of been slouching on that. Be like, well, we have more interesting shit to talk about, so we're just going to ignore that part. But we're a professional podcast, so... Actually, our word from last week did end up being prophetic. It was collegiate. That is referring to that which pertains to college or education, such as education of a higher... College. But the next day, I was accepted at McGee campus of University Ulster, so, haha.
Although
it was prophetic.
I really don't like the name of the University of Ulster, because it kind of indicates it thinks it's the only university in Ulster, which it's not.
Well, is it the only one in County Ulster?
No, Ulster's not a county.
Oh.
Ulster, see, there's the 4 provinces of Ireland. Mm-hmm. Ulster is like 1/4 of the entire island. Now, all of Northern Ireland is in Ulster, but there's 3 counties in the Republic of Ireland which are part of Ulster.
Well, because I was thinking the only other university is Queen's College at Belfast, and I was like, well, maybe Belfast isn't in Ulster, so...
No, Belfast is in Ulster.
Well, I don't care because it sounds spiffy, so there you go.
I think it's a bit like having, we are the University of Pennsylvania, and having it located in Pittsburgh rather than Philadelphia, even though, there's other universities.
Actually, that does happen, because there's Indiana University, which is in Indiana, Pennsylvania.
See, that's even worse, because that's not even the same, that's not even, Indiana's a different state.
I don't think I'm going to I don't like to call it McGee, because, and again, this is a thing that you wouldn't know unless you're in my family, but for a while, there's a rehabilitation hospital like for physical rehab and stuff like that, called McGee. And it's in the city, and my mom worked there for many years, as a psychologist. So whenever, like, any of your parents, or you would say, oh, McGee, I automatically think of the hospital.
Oh. Well, now you'll have a different thing for McGee, because eventually you're going to start thinking of McGee as your university.
I will. I have to get into the UK way of saying university rather than college. Because you can attend a college or a university in the States, but you just call it college.
Yeah, and over here, college is a technical college.
And you guys say, well, when I was at uni, let me just tell you what. And it sounds like you're talking about, like a
Unico.
Well, no, it actually sounds like kind of like almost that you're talking like about somebody on some kind of ninja team on an anime. Did you see the new episode? Oh my gosh, Uni is so cute. So kawaii.
I'm pretty sure Uni was the name of the unicorn in Dungeons and Dragons the cartoon.
It might have been.
But I'm looking forward to having you attending university here, because I was very sure you'd get in. Looking at your grades and how they correspond to UK ones, I'm sure you'd have no problem getting in. My worry was I know you were worried about that, but now we're on to my worry, which is that you won't get the money. But you say that's fine, so I'm assuming you're right.
I've applied for the federal stuff, and then the state sent me an email saying, we see that you applied for federal aid. You can apply for state aid too, but I had to wait till I got accepted. So now I can apply for state, and then whatever both of those don't cover, I can go through Sally Mae. And everyone's advised me, no, they're shysters, but most of the stuff that I'm going to be borrowing is federal, so I want to make sure as little as possible is private.
Yeah, it's sensible. And when you get over here, you're planning to get a job. Yeah. At least part-time.
Yeah, technically, as a full-time student, I'm allowed to work 10 hours a week. I assume that's for, like, tax purposes, because I'm technically earning money in a foreign country. But
yeah, something like that. But 10 hours.
I worked it out. I looked up what your minimum wage is, and that should be fine.
Yeah. Plus the if you work first year at university, you have plenty of time off. Second year, you still have a little bit of time off. Third, as long as you save enough money that you don't have to work in the third year, you'll be doing fine.
Yeah, they explained to me that the third is like the crunch year.
Yeah, but it'll be really great to have you over, and I am very much looking forward to it.
Well, I had a lot of fun last time I went to school. I mean, I would have kept going if I hadn't run out of money and had to get a job and stuff like that, and they wouldn't give me any more aid. Because they said, you're a dependent. And I'm like, I'm not claimed as a dependent. They're like, but you're too young to be independent. And I'm like, but I am. Like, no money for you. And I was like, well.
Because they were evil.
Yeah, I was out at Shippensburg University, and really the only reason I left was because the semester that I was there was when that kid got murdered. And I was like, this is kind of really creepy for me, actually. And so I went back to also it was a very, I'm not going to say it was racist because the campus wasn't, but it was in an area where Klan were. Like a lot of locals were Klan, and it was not a very gay-friendly place. That's for damn sure. So I was like, I can't stay here. I kind of feel that my life is in danger.
I'm glad you got away with your life.
Yeah. And it was terrible because I had a roommate who was from Lancaster County, and she was very sheltered and very innocent. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're from Philadelphia? Are people like getting shot? And I was like, first of all, I don't live in the city. Second of all, yes, there's violence, but there's violence in every city. It's not like, people, it's just, I think she had a very different idea of what living in a city was like.
A bit like your idea of what living in Derry was like.
Yeah, but you guys did have a huge military presence for a very long time, so I'm not really making that part up.
Well, it's true. It's just that you overestimated how dangerous it was.
No, I didn't, because I've eaten it. I can't really say that. I was going to say I've eaten at that Chinese buffet, but it was actually really good, so I can't even say I know what taking my life is in my own hands. We had actually pretty good Chinese food.
At the Mandarin Palace?
Yeah.
It was, I know all what the dangers of living in Derry. I do not discount them because, I ate prawn crackers. They're terrible.
I don't like prawn crackers.
I know you don't.
They're awful.
That's really going to impact your ability to make friends in Northern Ireland.
Well, I'm not going to go around with a t-shirt that says, ask me how much I hate prawn crackers. I don't know what you think I get up to.
I think you get up to worse things than that, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, when you're over, I think I'm going to involve you in, all bits of notes-taking sessions and, vlogs and all that sort of shit. And hopefully we'll be at least seeing each other 2-3 times a week.
That would be pretty awesome, actually.
And anytime Colin comes over to visit me, you can come as well.
And you'll be like, hi. And your cats will be like, hi.
Assuming you're not busy working at the time. Cause
yeah, that's true.
I will be less than no help when it comes to psychology, so I intend to keep away from you so I don't distract you whenever you need that time.
Oh, I know what you'll do. You'll be like, but I read a book one time years ago that said things and stuff. It doesn't make it true, but I read a book.
And so, because I'm liable to do things like that, and to be argumentative, I will keep away.
They'll be like, but the professor said yes, but I read a book.
I'm just like, hey, we're going to go to the cinema, do you want to join us on the Tuesday night? Yay, you get 3 hours off, whoa.
Actually, I really do like that cinema. It's really nice.
Yeah, if you're, I guess that there's no one in the entire people who listen to this is actually from Derry, but if you're ever in Derry, go to the Brunswick Movie Bowl. Very nice cinema. Plus it's got an arcade and a bowling alley and a restaurant and a cafe and a mini casino and a ballpark all beside each other.
Yeah, and you can get Ben & Jerry's ice cream to take into the theater with you to eat. It's very schwank.
Although the Odeon in Belfast does that as well. And plus the Odeon, it lets you have up to 5 scoops, which is basically 3/4 of a tub.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, first of all, that's horrible. Second of all, you'd have to eat it really fast so it doesn't melt. What if you, didn't want any more? You'd have to get up in the middle of, basically the previews, because you'd have to snork it down to make sure it didn't melt. That's irrational.
Well, the 5-foot tub one, you only get it if you know you're going to eat it all fairly quickly. I've only had it once when I was in Belfast, and I was waiting to go to see another film. Sorry, I was waiting to... I'd been in Belfast for an official type thing, and then I had we'd misjudged the timing, and we had a couple of hours till our reservations at Cosmo, the amazing buffet place.
That place is amazing.
We had 2 hours, so we decided, let's go to the cinema. And so we ended up watching one of the Percy Jackson films.
Oh.
And that's why I had 5 scoops of ice cream, so I could handle the fact that I was watching a Percy Jackson film.
Psh. Apparently the books are really good. I've just never read them because I don't really read Juvie Lit, but a lot of my coworkers are like, you've never read the Percy Jackson? I'm like, I don't care. I know that they're good, and I know the kids like them, and that's enough. That's all I need to know.
Fair enough.
Well, it's I don't really read teen either, because I just can't care. Occasionally I'll hear some good buzz about one or another teen books, and I'll, tweet at Lindsay, because I know that that's her thing. But I'm just really? There's this one book called Fangirl, and it's about a girl who's a fanfic writer, and it was getting a lot of buzz, and so I pinged her about that. I'm like, relevant to your interests.
Well, you haven't been into sort of teen books since
I was in elementary school?
Since you were 7.
Well, I went right from kids' books to adults, so... because that's how I roll. Well, it's just that a lot of the struggles in teen books and a lot of the characterization I just can't relate to, because I just don't care. I know you bugged me when Lindsay was doing the whole, try out to be a ghostwriter, and I can do horror, but young adult is just so not my wheelhouse. It's so not my genre. So I sent them a thing in anyway, but it was really more horror than it was young adult.
Fair enough. I just had a look at the cinema releases in the next few months, and Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out just around the time, in August.
Oh, so that might actually work.
So you might see it. So I might drag you to see it here, or I might drag you to see it in America, or you might just miss it.
Ooh.
So how do you feel that you might or might not be dragged to Guardians of the Galaxy by me, depending on whether you're lucky or not?
I guess there's a raccoon involved. I remember being at the barbecue place with you, and you were like, oh, let me explain to you everything about this, and there's a squadron of another galaxy in a cube, and then we all died in the Silver Surfer, and I'm like, okay.
What was I explaining in that story?
I don't even remember. It was the first time I took you to Famous Dave's. You were just going on, and just the things, and then there was a huge guy, and then some other aliens came, and then things happened, and I was like, uh-huh. Ooh, look, onion rings. Yum, yum, yum.
Onion strings.
Onion strings, yeah.
I got the feeling that was either right after I visited, or right before I left.
Yeah, it was. I was about to take you to the airport. Remember, we stopped at Famous Dave's.
Yeah. So either way, I was sort of tired and excitable.
I'm thinking about barbecue.
I like Famous Dave's.
I know.
But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. I have been told that I must try to sell you Omega on this. So, he's a nice guy. He was really nice to us, and one of our friends completely embarrassed himself in front of him. It was hilarious.
He's like a real nice guy.
The reason to be interested in this one, because Iron Man is a pure superhero film.
And I like Robert Downey Jr. He's good at what he does. I was very convinced that he was a superhero.
So the Iron Man ones are superheroes in various ways. So the third one's less of a superhero film, but they're still superhero films. Yeah. The Hulk wasn't a superhero film, and really, ideally, if you're going to make a Hulk film, you really should make it like a werewolf movie, where it's the monster is like a horror type thing. I don't think they quite got that with the Incredible Hulk movie. But the Thor and Captain America films were like a semi-fantasy and war film, respectively, just with superheroes in them, while Guardians of the Galaxy is completely disconnected from superheroes.
It's happened in space, right?
Yeah, it's happening like on the other side of the galaxy, where you've got various races, and you've basically got a team of misfit outlaw people in a spaceship who break out of an intergalactic prison and start fighting shit.
So it's like Firefly, but from, a trademarked comic book.
Yeah, it's a bit like Firefly or Star Wars if there was no Force or Jedi, and it was just Han Solo and his friends who were also Han Solo of various races killing shit. Or
so it's like a space opera.
Yeah, or Farscape or something. And like, the team, you got the lead character who is like this half alien, half human who was taken from Earth back in the 80s, and so it still holds on to these like 80s connecting things as his only connections with Earth. You've got he's got this like. He's got a Walkman which has like his mixtape of, his favorite songs from when he was taken, so they're all 80s songs.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
And you've got like this green-skinned assassin woman. You've got this really big...
Is she an assassin one?
She should be.
That was my favorite bit of the whole entire review. Assassin man. That sounds like a Jamaican hitman. Hey, man, I need to kill my wife, man. Oh, you need an assassin, man. I still love it.
But there's also Drax the Destroyer, who in most incarnations of the character started off as a human, but then his family were killed and he was killed and he got reborn as like this alien super weapon. I'm not entirely sure how much backstory they're putting into this.
Why did that happen?
I'm not sure, but his daughter was Moondragon, and Moondragon's great, and I'm really annoyed she's not in this.
Is she a Moondragon?
No. Moondragon is, she's like this really, really, really arrogant, full of herself, lesbian, bald-headed, sort of psychic witch woman. But, you've also got, Groot, who is basically an Ent. And,
how was Space Tree? What?
Yeah, there's a Space Tree with his best friend.
Tree?
His best friend, Rocket Raccoon.
Okay, I knew about the raccoon.
Genetically altered raccoon with a bad attitude and loves guns.
Who genetically altered him?
I'm not entirely sure. It depends on which incarnation of the character.
Where does the Space Tree grow? This sounds like something out of New Who.
The Space Tree, Groot, he's from an alien planet, and his race are all sentient trees. And he only says one line.
How did they get space travel, these trees? So they were like, if only we trees could travel the galaxy, where would we put our roots? We don't know.
I have no idea.
Like hanging upside down in hydroponic tanks, and it makes no sense.
I have no idea.
It sounds like it has the stink of Stephen Moffat upon it.
No, it sounds like it's got the stink of James Gunn all over it. And Lord Kaufman's apparently got a cameo.
Well, that's good. I'm always like to see Lloyd Kaufman and, turning up like a budget Mel Brooks when you least expect him. But
yeah,
who's their bad guy?
Ronan the Accuser.
What does he...
He's accusing people of things.
Who farted? We will ask him and he will know.
He's a Kree. Kree are one of the big alien races of the Marvel Universe.
Who stole the cookies from Marvel's cookie jar? It was you.
Sure.
No, not me. Couldn't be. Then who?
Pikachu, I accuse you.
Have you ever played that? Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar?
No.
Is that how you could? Well, if you're on the bus and you're trying to waste time, or the teachers will get it started, and they'll be like, "Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar?" If it's my turn, I'd turn to you and I'd be like, "Czar stole the cookies from the cookie jar," and you would say, "Who, me?" And I'd say, "Yes, you," and you'd say, "Couldn't be." Then I'd say, "Then who?" And then you'd pick someone else, and you would say, I don't know, Lupa stole the cookies from the cookie jar, and then that's how that would go.
And then Lupa would say, "No, it wasn't me, it was Daenerys Targaryen."
No, assuming that, like, Allison was on the same bus, But it's just that's how that works.
No. Guardians, it looks tone-wise... Okay, Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 both had very, very somber trailers, and they were much funnier than people expected. This one, they're playing the comedy right to the hilt, so I'm guessing it's going to be more dramatic than it looks, but it's looking like a really entertaining, offbeat... Basically, this could possibly be... If this works out financially, this could be roughly applicable, similar to this generation's sort of, first seeing of Star Wars. The original Star Wars, not the prequels. This is more like Star Wars than any film I've seen in a long time. It's also a bit like the Ice Pirates and stuff. It's also, it could be similar to Buckaroo Banzai in tone. It's not often you get a crazy offbeat concept done with such aplomb on the big screen.
So it's going to be more Spaceballs than Avengers.
Yeah, it's not a superhero film. It's not going to be a straight parody or anything, but it's going to be... It looks like it's going to be heavy on the craziness and heavy on the comedy. And
I think, just now, that Mel Brooks should probably, while he's still alive, write a kind of Men in Tights kind of thing for superhero movies. I would watch the shit out of that.
I'd be rather amused by that. But do you know who else is in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh, isn't What's-Her-Face from Doctor Who?
Yep, Amy Pond, isn't it? She's got a blue skin and a shaved head and robotic arms.
That's fine. Rory will still hit that anyway. I mean, assuming that those two are married in real life, which they are not.
Yes, they're not. I think I'm really looking forward to the film, I'm looking forward to all of the films that Marvel has announced. The one I'm looking forward to least, though, interestingly, is the Avengers 2. Because Guardians of the Galaxy looks fucking amazing. Captain America 2 looks great. Ant-Man, that's going to be insane.
Shh, I'm not watching that. His wife is a wasp. I never would do it.
But Michael Douglas is in it.
I don't care. I don't like wasps. I don't care if they have sexy butts or not. I don't like wasps.
We don't know if the Wasp is going to be in
yeah, but they
Ant-Man.
said that she would.
Well, the woman who becomes the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, might be in it, but we don't know if the Wasp, the character,
Well,
will
even
be.
if she got her own movie, I'd be like, I'm not watching it. She'd be like, Omega, why? Because, of course, she knows me personally. And I'd be like, because wasps are horrible, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
But it's the guy who did Shaun of the Dead.
No, wasps are always bad. Doesn't matter. They're not part of God's plan for us.
Okay.
Do you guys know? I'm so excited. I'm so excited because after this summer, I'm not going to have to deal with the North American black wasp ever again. Okay, for the next 3 years. You know why? Because they don't have them. They have yellow jackets. They have yellow jackets, and they call them wasps. I can deal with that.
Well, the next 3 years at least. Hopefully you'll be here for longer than 3 years.
Yeah.
Assuming we can find somewhere.
We'll think of something.
No.
But yeah, I guess I think I don't need to be such a bitch about it, because it's not that I don't like comic books. I do. They weren't this formative. Like, remember how we were talking about geek cred last time? They just weren't part of my formative geek years to the huge extent that they were for everybody else. And, I had a friend his name was Derek, and he's in California now, living his life, and he's an awesome guy. And I hope you get to meet him someday. But back in the day, when I was, just a kid, and I worked a day job and stuff, and on the weekends we'd LARP, and then we'd just hang out at my place, because I had the apartment, just, drinking, and Derek would start going off about X-Men especially. But, and he would just talk and just go on these, thesis, rants, and not angry rants, just, informative, but he would just talk, and you'd slowly watch, that one sliver of sky that you could see from my window, because it was a basement apartment, turned from black slowly to blue, and then to light blue, and then we knew it was 7 a.m. and time to go to Denny's before I'd come home and sleep for the rest of the day, because that was my Sundays. But, and I asked him once, I was like, so, X-Men, right? Is there, a central place I can go, read all this stuff from the beginning? And he's like, well, not really, because So that's the thing, is there's so many alternatives and different things and stuff. And, I mean, I know a lot about Batman because I used to watch the animated series every day, but it's just kind of like, I want to get into it, but some of the fans are off-putting, and it's difficult, you know? It's like, okay, so a new superhero I can read a lot about because they're pretty relatively new, but again, like, if I wanted to read the story of Wolverine from the very beginning, there's no place I could go for that except, like, his wiki, you know?
Yeah, there's no official strand because that's the nature of comic books. There's no definite end.
Yeah, so it's like, that's why, as, you know, primarily a reader, it's very different. It's like, if I want to know the story of, like, I got this one book, and it was really great, and it was so amazing, and I found out that it was actually the most recent book in a series. So then I went back and read the whole entire rest of the series, because it was that good. That kind of thing, but I can't really do that with comic books, you know?
This is true, but, you know, for film versions, just embrace the film version. DC does this very well. Not the
I thought we were all angry at DC right now.
I'm not angry at DC. They're another company. I prefer Marvel.
They're like screwing up and fucking up and just doing everything horribly. Apparently.
Well,
that's what Twitter says. That's what Nash and Lewis say, so.
I prefer Marvel over DC. DC, I can believe being a DC fan would be really irritating because every like 10 years or so they like to reset their universe at random. But DC does one thing very, very well, and that is they do animated films based on the most popular stories on their characters. They're not all origins or anything like that. They're not all sequels to each other. It's just like, this story was very, very good in the comics. Let's turn this into an animated film and get an interesting voice cast to do it. Yay!
I can see that. It's
a really good idea, and I really
DC is like Batman, Superman, right?
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Martian Manhunter, etc., etc.
Which one is Teen Titans?
DC.
I fucking hate that show. No, but okay, we're gonna have to stop soon for the music break, but let me just tell my tale of ire. And Geek, stand with me on this ire for the reason I have a traumatic event involved that forever has tainted my view of Teen Titans. So, 3 months, about 2.5 months, before I turned 25. This was back when I lived in an apartment, and I wanted to have a big, huge party because I was turning 25. So I had a friend who rented a house from her mother. It was a row house in West Philadelphia, and she rented it with a few of our other friends, and I said, hey, I want to have a really big party for my 25th, birthday, because it's like a quarter century, And she's like, okay. I said, now you can say no, and I won't be offended or upset or anything, so know that. I said, can I hold this party at your house? I'll come over, I'll help you clean, I'll, provide all the food and drink. You won't have to do anything, just have the area. And she said, no, yeah, sure, that's totally fine, okay. I was like, all right, great. And so she had 2.5 months to tell me, actually, I don't think this is a good idea. Actually, I don't want to do this, right? So, like, the week beforehand, I said, do you need me to come over and help clean? Because I told you that I would. She's like, no, it's fine. I said, okay. So I was coming right from work that day. So I went and I got all the food and I got, 2 bottles of wine and a case of beer and all this other stuff. And I show up because I was, showing up early. And so she and her roommate, who would later become her boyfriend, and actually, no, I'm sorry, her husband, because they did get married, are just sitting there in pajamas with all the lights off watching Teen Titans. And she's like, yeah, we didn't really feel like getting dressed, so, And I'm like, that's cool. And so I came in, and, they didn't turn on any of the lights. They just kind of sat there still watching Teen Titans. It was like a marathon, apparently. So people would, show up, and they just kept sitting there. And finally, everyone's like, all right, so things and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, there's this. It was, the food that I brought, which wasn't a lot. And so eventually a whole bunch was like, well, we're going to go over and walk to Wawa and get some food, so we'll be back. And she's like, all right, whatever. And so eventually we asked them if they wanted anything. They said no. When we all got back, they were still watching Teen Titans in the dark in their pajamas. And then they were like, oh, we're going to go get wings. And so then the guy turned off Teen Titans and put on a movie which, after meeting you and you had done a plug for it, I now know was Wild Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I'd seen that. But we didn't want to watch it, and we didn't know how to turn it off because they were gone. And so, then we turned on the lights, and we eventually figured out how to turn off the movie once it ended. And we were watching something else, and they came back and started playing Hero Clicks in the dining room. And eventually, she started sighing really loud and making all these comments like, "Wow, I wish everyone would just leave so I can go to bed." And so I was like, "All right, everyone, party's over, I guess." And then I went home and played Snood and drank an entire bottle of wine. And that was my party. And I hate
Jesus.
fucking Teen Titans. I fucking hate Teen Titans forever. Amen.
Jesus. That's a good time for music.
Ta-da!
And we are back, and while Mr. Tony Goldmark's velvet vocal cords were doing something comedic, I forced Omega to watch the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, and take it away, honey.
You kind of made that sound dirty. Like Tony was like, I don't know, doing something dirty over there.
Oh, yeah.
In California. No, I took the time to watch the trailer, and but then again, it seems to have the same kind of tongue-in-cheekness that you'd expect from, like, Iron Man. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
but
probably end up seeing...
the other trailers for the other Marvel films did not play up the comedy that much. It looks like the sort of tone of funniness that you get in the other films, but the trailers always played it a little bit more serious.
Well, it did make me think about Firefly. So there's that. And that's not some kind of fanish kind of thing, because I'm going to tell you another of my dark, deep geek secrets. I didn't watch Firefly when it was on TV. Because I was working at the time, and I rarely ever watched TV, because there were no shows I really liked. And so, basically, I only got the box set because a certain group of friends, actually the same group of friends who were involved in the story about Teen Titans before the break, were like, oh my gosh, you've never seen Firefly, oh my gosh. So I finally got it. And it was good, and I saw the movie Serenity, and it was good, but I had no want at that point in my life, and also now, to be part of what I like to call the International Joss Whedon Cocksucking Brigade. So while, Firefly was good, and the movie was good, I'm not one of those people who's going to be self-harming if we don't get a reboot or get it to come back in any way, shape, or form. So
I got the feeling that more people would be annoyed if they rebooted it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Gonna drop some trivia on you about Guardians, though.
Okay.
The guy who said, "What a bunch of a-holes," he was in Shaun of the Dead, but he also did the voice of Darth Maul in Star Wars Episode 1, and he voiced Darth Chef in South Park.
But the bodywork for Darth Maul, that was done by the same guy that played Toad in X-Men, right?
Yeah.
That
he was
little guy.
He was
Okay.
Ray Park, yeah, but the voice was Peter Serafinowicz there. He's an English comedian.
Oh, okay. I had a moment. I was like, wait a second. I know it was that little, because I remember when we went to go see that X-Men movie that he was in, and he did, the signature finishing move with the staff. And my friend Derek, who I'd been talking about also before the break, nearly basically, had a moment there, right there in the theater in front of God and everyone. And I was like, would you stop it? And he's like, no, you understand, that's the same move that Darth Maul did. I'm like, so? He's like, he's the guy that played Darth Maul. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
The Peter Serafinowicz, he's really clever, very big English comedian. Not big as in famous, he's big as in large. He's like 6'5".
Wow.
And he used to be really, really sort of muscular. He was a bit like an English Patrick Warburton, and I would have loved to see him play a young master, not in the crappy John Sim type way, but the sort of one that could break you in half type way.
It was me, the master. It was me the whole time.
And not appearing in the trailer there, but Glenn Close is in Guardians as well.
What's she doing?
She's playing the leader of the Nova Corps, who are like intergalactic policemen.
Novocaine.
The Nova Corps!
But anyway, your trivia aside, it's time for some actual trivia.
Oh no.
From your favorite person.
Star-Lord?
No.
Ronan the Accuser?
No.
Adam Warlock?
I'm just going to put a stop to this farce right now.
Okay.
It's me, it's Giovanni, because, I don't do the trivia every week. So, who else would it be?
No, you don't, because some weeks we don't have an episode.
Yeah. But anyway, so how's everybody been? How's family? Kids?
My cats are fine.
Oh, you humans and your mammal pets. So anyway, I thought that today's trivia should be kind of informative. And also interesting and sci-fi and stuff. And also I might go see the second Robo or the first Robo reboot. I might go see RoboCop later. So, did you know Neil Harbison is the first person on the planet to have a passport photo that shows his cyborg nature? It's true. The colorblind artist says the implants allow him to see color, and he wants to help other cyborgs like him gain rights. I mean, it's not like he's in a camp or anything, so I'm not really sure what that's about. But yeah, cyborgs, they walk among us. Apparently they paint.
They can do all sorts of things.
Like kill you.
Yes.
But before Hagan has a chance to insult me yet again, or imply something about butter and or my muscles and meat. I am off to the cinema. I will see you all later.
See, I was charming that time.
And I recognize that there's actually like a waveform that's the same every time for my exasperated sigh after the trivia.
Why? Why are you exasperated? I didn't do anything.
No, you just instigated.
I didn't instigate anything.
Instigator. That could be your your superhero movie, your bad guys, the instigator. Wah, wah, wah. But anyway, it's time for another part of the show that apparently people like, though I'm not sure why. If you're just joining in, it's the first time you've heard Lesbian Talk. I have been working for nearly a solid decade at a large chain bookstore, and I have seen it all, and sometimes it's pathetic, and sometimes it's amazing, and sometimes it's in a weird hybrid of both of them, and this is one of those times. Here's the thing, and this came from a discussion that we were having on the Booksellers Facebook group the other day, is romance novels are getting kind of freaky lately, and we're not sure if it's a reflection of the 50 Shades of Grey thing or something like that. An older bookseller said that he remembered when the Harlequin romance novels, like all of the heroines had to be virgins, and there was no sex whatsoever involved. And we figured out that probably the only people still reading Harlequin romance novels are women in their 60s, because that's all. We never see, like, young women buying these books. And they're getting really creepy now because there's stuff like The Baby Bargain, or, His Baby Mama, and stuff like that. And so what's been really in vogue these days has been rich widowers with babies that the woman has to take care of and then gets pregnant by the end. And it's really weird.
Isn't that like the story of one of the great Gothic novels? I forget her name. Jane Eyre.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yay.
Except that scene is legitimate because it was written way back in the day. And it wasn't like a NASCAR romance or anything like that.
Jane, I gotta tell you, I love you out in those moors, Jane. You're a hot lady. Ignore my mad wife in the attic.
When we got some of the NASCAR romances, and for when this first started being a thing, I was back in receiving. Our receiving manager and I were having fun coming up with inappropriate titles for these, it would be something like Hard Stop or something like that, and there'd be a guy on the cover, and I'm like, and I was like, he really knows how to shift it into third gear. And then the receiving manager was like, oh no, he's stuck in the tailpipe. I was like, stop that.
Third base into third gear.
Well, no, but see, this is the actual story of coming to this. This was years ago, and there was this woman that came in, and she came up to the cash wrap and said, oh, how can I help you today? And she's like, yeah, I need to buy some books, so you're there. Reaches down, I didn't see that she had one of our baskets full of every single one of the Highlander romance novels, like To Catch a Highlander, and it's full of, women sitting out there with, improbably wrapped tartans, so you can, just, see their cleavage and stuff like that, and men with rippling pecs wearing nothing but a kilt and stuff like that. So I was like, well...
So it's Jamie, the novel series.
Pretty much.
Doctor, I want your firm hands all over me with your sonic screwdriver. Aye.
Except not so much with the gay. But anyway, so...
I love you, Victoria. I want you to be in the TARDIS with me, because, I'm sure you're bigger on the inside than you are on the outside.
I'm sure that's a joke that's never been made ever in the Doctor Who fandom. But, so, pretty much, I wrote it off. I didn't think about it again. And a few weeks later, this woman came in and comes to my register and apparently forgot that I was the person that helped her. And she was returning a whole bunch of these romance novels, which were obviously read. But we don't really question people too deeply about why they're making their returns. We just have to have a reason to put into the register. So I usually say to someone, okay, what's the reason for the return? And they'll say, oh, someone got it for me and I had it already. Or, oh, I got it, but I needed the other book in the series. Something like that. They could tell me anything. I just need to make sure the book isn't defective, because otherwise we have to let the publisher know. So I said to her, okay, what's the reason for the return? And she's like, there were so many twists and turns, I could hardly follow the plot on half of these. And I looked at her and I was like, okay, well, I need to get a manager to do the return. And I really wanted to say, although it would have cost me my job, really? You are so stupid that you are admitting to me that the reason you are returning these romance novels is you couldn't follow the plot twist in a goddamn romance novel? But I didn't.
I want to know what would cover for a defective book, like if it explodes.
No. This happens sometimes. Okay, so like a customer will come in and be like, I have a problem with this book, I got it, and then they'll show me how it goes right from page 37 to page 153. Like printing errors. Or like someone had brought in a book, and it was like something really mundane. It was like, I think like Algebra 2 or something like it was some study aid, but there was a chapter of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's On Death and Dying in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a publisher mistake. I'm sure that's the same publisher that publishes On Death and Dying. But we said, oh. We went and pulled the other copy off the shelf, and lo and behold, it was the same way. So we had to let the publisher know and tell them, oh, by the way, you have a defective print run. They're probably already aware of that. So that way we just ordered a new copy for the customer, so they got their good copy, and we returned the other one as damaged, so we still got credit from the publisher. So it's not like it's going to explode or anything, it's just...
That's very similar to something that happened, though, deliberately, in a book called Of Pandas and People,
mm-hmm.
which was, originally it was like a creationist book about how they should teach creationism rather than evolution. But then after the Supreme Court decided that creationism was illegal to teach in schools, they went through the entire script of the book and they changed creationist to intelligent design propensity. Changed the word. I can't remember the exact detail. But the reason that this was brought up in like the 2005 Dover, Pennsylvania case, because they discovered evidence that the intelligent design was the same as creationism by finding parts in the book where they hadn't completely changed the word. So what they ended up with was intelligent design propensitists, which was just hilarious.
That's pretty low.
It's a little bit similar to your thing. Sorry for the tangent. Let's talk.
It's just, I mean, I don't want people to actually go out thinking that they might have books explode on them.
Boom.
Jacket explosion.
Yes. But we're going to talk in our last bit about cybernetics, because randomly I thought that was a good idea.
Sure, why not? Well, because you went and saw RoboCop recently, so...
Yeah, I saw RoboCop last week, and...
I get the feeling you didn't have so high an opinion of it.
I have a higher opinion right now than I did when I was going into it, because I was going into it expecting it to be a massive pile of bird shit. And it was not quite a massive pile of bird shit. It was fine. If they'd called it something else and the original RoboCop didn't exist, this would be a very perfectly serviceable sci-fi movie. The main problem, they've removed pretty much every single piece of satire from the original, because the original is less a science fiction gore fest. It's more of a really funny satire on American culture at the time, going in ridiculous ways, just with lots of gore and sci-fi added to it. While this one, almost every single insane thing that the movie suggested, for the lols, had happened to American culture, has happened. So what we're left with is a remake of the science fiction elements of RoboCop without any of the satire that made it so wonderful in the first place. Because you can't really parody it because it's happened. Not literally happened, but it's the world that RoboCop...
There's enough similarities.
Yeah, the world that RoboCop portrays is very similar to the one we've got.
Except we don't actually have RoboCops.
Yes, not yet.
With Iron Man suits.
Well, not so much an Iron Man suit as... neither of them. In the first one, all that's left of the poor guy is really the front of his face, parts of his torso, and his brain.
Does anyone say we can rebuild him? We have the technology? Please tell me that happens.
No. But at one point, they're all like, hey, good news, we can save the guy's arm. And then the guy in charge of the project said, we agreed to lose the arm, but we can save it, cut it off. So they leave him with no body parts. Well, in the remake, it's the front of his face, which isn't actually his, because we saw an earlier shot had been terribly burned, so they've rebuilt his face somehow. And they got his brain, and they've got his throat, and his lungs, and his hand, and that's it. At one point, they take him apart, and they show him in a mirror exactly what's left of him. And he didn't take it very well.
I reckon.
Yeah, and then the other big difference between the two of them, in the first one, the guy who became RoboCop Murphy is dead. And he's brought back, mind is wiped, he was resurrected, and so he's not quite a human being. Even at the end, after he rediscovers his memories and his humanity, he's not quite a human being. And his family have moved on with him. As far as they're concerned, he's dead. And it's just like...
That's depressing.
Yeah, but he's like very emotionally stilted because of the thing. He's a bit like a robot with pieces of human added.
Well, do you think that if we actually had that level of cybernetics, like medical cybernetics, do you think that would happen to people?
If their brain was, shot through, and then they were dead for at least for probably an hour before they brought them back to life. So there's only pieces left.
I mean, like, not okay. I guess that's a bad example because there's so much trauma. But like, suppose you have this wasting muscle disease, and your brain is perfectly fine. They say it's a genetic condition. Eventually your body's just going to shut down. There's nothing we can do about it. But you would have the option to have keep your brain, which is perfectly fine, but have like a whole cybernetic body. Like I think was it Ghost in the Shell that had like a lot of people that had full cyborg bodies kind of went insane? Or am I thinking of something else?
Could well be. I'm not an expert in Ghost in the Shell. But what you're describing there is more like the remake, because the first one he's basically a robot with pieces of zombie human put in there with little pieces of technology, with little pieces of original brain that are working 100% and personality. While in the second one, it is a guy's brain pretty much with pieces of robot. So,
see, if they told me, we can save your brain and put you in a robot body, I'd be like, sure. This is covered by my insurance. Where can I sign up?
I think for me it would depend on what the robot body looked like, or what control I have over it, or whether it can.
Yeah, I'd want to look like a human. I wouldn't want to look like. Oh no, you know what I want to look like? Like I would want to look like I was wearing like mech armor. I think that'd be pretty sweet. And I walk around and go my actuator joints. Because I'm a short person, and I've always been a short person, but I've always wanted to inspire terror, like Xena Warrior Princess.
It strikes me that at one point in the future, once the remake of RoboCop's out, we should totally watch all 4 RoboCops in a row.
I thought there was just the original one and the reboot.
No. There's a bunch. There's the original film. There's the sequel, which I think is just as good, but most people don't care for, although it's not really funny. It's just violent and hilariously weird.
Oh.
Then there's the third film, which is more of a kid's film and features like a robot ninja that RoboCop has to fight and he flies, Then there was a live-action RoboCop TV series, which was actually the first bit of RoboCop I ever saw, which was terrible. Then there was a RoboCop animated series for kids, which was...
I remember that. I have a very tangential memory of that.
Which is even more terrible. Then there was a mini-series made for Canadian television about 10 years ago, which apparently is in tone more like the original films, but I haven't seen that yet. And then there's the remake.
Okay, so then what about if it wasn't like a full thing? What if you had a really bad infection on a limb, and they said, well, it's gangrene, we have to amputate or you're going to die, but we can give you a robotic limb.
I'd be fine with that. The robotic limbs are, the way that they're shown in films of being like, super powerful and all, we really need to do a lot of alterations to a body to make that happen, because if you have a really strong robotic limb that can lift a car or something, the rest of your body couldn't handle lifting the car, so what you're going to have is like the arm ripping itself out of your body.
Well, no, I mean like the standard, like the kind of stuff that you see on like Vsauce, where they show you, oh, so-and-so university is doing research on robotic limbs, and look at this. Like that kind of thing.
Well, I wouldn't want it, but if I lost my limb, then it would be better than nothing.
No. Fair enough. This discussion has come up like in school or college, we've had conversations like this. There was always one or two people like, I would never, I'd rather die, and have a robotic leg, yes. Okay.
Well, I suppose that it might be down to the body map. One of the ideas for...
Oh, like phantom limbs and stuff like that?
Yeah, phantom limb is it's suggested what happens whenever you have someone with a regular body map loses a body part, so they feel the body like as though it's there. But then conversely, you got people whose body maps don't have all of their limbs, and so they get distressed from having an extra limb which they feel shouldn't be there.
I've heard about this, and they'll try to, like, people who suffer from this, they'll feel like they shouldn't have that limb, and they'll try to get someone to amputate it, and the person's like, or the doctor's like, no.
In UK history, one doctor has referred 2 people to getting that removed, to getting body parts removed because of that, and the doctor's no longer serving, and people are going to think that, but he's not allowed to be a doctor anymore. But it's nothing to do with that. It was to do with other things. And
well, I mean,
I'd be perfectly honestly.
If that was me and someone told me this is because of a neurological issue, that you have this deep-seated belief that you should not have this limb, the first thing that I would say is, okay, how can we treat this neurological issue? Like, is there something we can do on a medical or a brain surgical level that can fix this rather than actually cutting off a limb. Because even if you're convinced that you shouldn't have it, there's still a lot of risks inherent with an amputation, even if it's a perfectly healthy limb.
Yeah, but if you do it that way, then you've got the chance that the person might run off, just decide not to do it that way and like put their leg on the railroad tracks or something.
No, I mean this is someone who they've been told, okay, it's this way, and says, well, okay, knowing that this is something that's neurological, can we try to treat this neurologically? You know?
I've done a very, very, very little amount of research into this subject, so my opinion's worth exactly shit. Probably worth even less than yours, because you at least have an interest in psychology as a rule. But I'd honestly, from what I can say, it sounds a little bit like there's overlap between this and people being transsexual. That there's people whose ideas of their body are disconnected from what the body actually is. And honestly, I would say, unless there's a way to cure it that neurologically, then the person should have it what body part they want surgically removed. People have a right to be comfortable in their own body.
I guess so, but especially coming as an American, I have a hard time seeing any doctor willing to perform that or any insurance company willing to pay for that.
And that would be a bad thing about doctors' things. Even like, in other countries, it's people have like a knee-jerk anti-reaction to it. I'd be interested in seeing more research into it, see if they can work out exactly what's going on there. Because if it is like that, I'd rather people not suffer unnecessarily because they're different from the majority.
If there's some nerve that they can find that, if we mess with this nerve, it takes that feeling away. And they told me, well, rather than amputate your leg because you believe it shouldn't be there, we think this is a neurological problem. We want to do brain surgery. We want to monkey with just this nerve. And we believe, hopefully, that will fix it. I'd be more likely to say, yeah, okay, I'm good with that. But then again, I don't have this disorder, so,
I'd rather it get dealt with that way, but if it's not possible, then I refuse to judge people for having issues like that.
I'm not going to judge anybody, I'm just thinking...
I'm not saying you would, but I've come across people who do.
Well, it takes all kinds. But, yeah. Although, I really would like cool, cybernetic parts. I would never get laser eye surgery, but if they had, foolproof eye implants, I'd totally get those. But, what color does that come in? Really?
I'd like laser eye surgery.
I've had a lot of eye surgery, so, I know it's painless, and I know that basically it's just you're uncomfortable for a few days, and then everything's fine and wonderful, and maybe someday, if my vision gets bad enough and NHS says, yeah, sure, why not, I'll get it done, but... I'm not exactly queuing up for it now.
Yeah, I don't think they generally cover that.
Good. That I wouldn't pay for such a thing out of pocket. I'm too afraid.
Well, if I save enough money, I'm gonna go for it.
Oh, honey, you totally can, and I will encourage you, and I will drive you to and from the place, and I will make you dinner and everything. But not for me.
And then afterwards, if it goes fine with me, then you'll be all like, okay, maybe I will do it.
Maybe it might be the way. I mean, like I said, I've had 4 eye surgeries, again, when I was very young, and it was a horrifying experience. So, not exactly. That's why I don't have contacts, because I don't want to touch my eyes. I find the whole idea just very upsetting. So if you ever want to skeeve me out, try to put that skeeves me out. People putting their contacts or touch them, and I'm like, stop! Don't do that. It's bad. You'll hurt yourself. And they're like, it's not bad. Everything's fine. I'm like, no. It's not. It's not fine. It's never gonna be fine.
Hopefully it will eventually.
Well, for them. But anyway, do you know what time of the day or show it is?
Dictionary.
It is. And I have the Oxford American Dictionary, and you better pick something that's not 75 or 72.
210.
I can deal with that. Alright, 1 or 2?
2.
Out of 26.
22.
Encephalon. The brain.
Well, that would have been a perfect one to lead into the cybernetic talk.
I know, right? Well, you're lucky because the one above it is encephalomyelitis, which is a swelling of the brain and spinal cord, which I don't think I know much about, so we'd have to be like, So we'll open up with discussion of the brain. Brains. But, for today, I have been the Omega Geek, and who do you shall have want to have been this time?
Ronan the Accuser.
Okay. We'll see y'all next week.